Hello and welcome back to the Small Print Podcast. I'm your host Elise and I blog at roulettereader.wordpress.com.
I'm Dawn and I blog at bangbangbookblog.com.
Today we bring you our opinions / reviews of The Traitor's Kiss by Erin Beatty. Beatty? Never know how to pronounce that. This is due out May 7th. It's actually May 9th. May 9th, 2017.
Oh.
And take it away, Dawn, with the synopsis.
Alright, so this book is about Sage, who is close to the marrying age, but she doesn't want to be married off to a man she's never met just for politics. So she becomes a matchmaker, or a matchmaker's apprentice, because she'd rather be her own woman than be married off. And so she becomes an apprentice to make matches between ladies who have a lot of power,
women.
Society ladies,
Yeah.
and society gents, and to form alliances through marriage. And meanwhile, there is an army. The king's army is something's happening, and so they're going to use the matchmaking. Like, there's a big celebration to get rid of the threat.
Some kind of uprising. Yeah.
That was a terrible
synopsis.
I was starting to read it, but then I saw that my synopsis is a little snarky on my blog, so I was like, oh, let me make something up right quick.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
That's pretty accurate. That's
all right.
Completely accurate. I figure for this one, we should talk about our likes first.
Okay. Then we
And
always...
then
No, we don't.
We usually
Okay.
do our dislikes first.
Okay.
We'll do our likes first, then what we disliked, and then do you think a spoiler edition is...
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. We will be doing a spoiler edition at the end, and we will, as always, let you know when that happens. So if you haven't read it or still are reading it and you want to keep those saved, we will let you know.
Okay.
All right. So, what did we like?
I like the concept
Mm-hmm.
of creating alliances through marriage, and that it's the matchmaker's job to... She had a very important job, which was to match these women with powerful families to these guys with powerful families to form alliances to keep their nation strong. So I like the overall idea of it.
I agree. Basically what you said sums up both of my likes. Only have two.
Oh no.
I appreciated how the author set up her initial plot. We see Sage, we see her conflict, we kind of start to get to know her a little bit, and then immediately, a couple chapters later, the book jumps to Captain Quinn and how he's, like, hunting down this, like, band of guys.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what does this have to do with the plot? And you're kind of like, ooh, this is getting deeper.
I had
And
to,
it's
look at the cover for a
Yeah.
second. I'm like, is this the right book?
I
Or...
know.
You never know with
And
an art.
for the first kind of, like, in my opinion, 40%, that's kind of how it is. Like, this back and forth is very interesting. And I agree, I liked the concept of, like, a societal matchmaker. I haven't really seen that in YA.
No.
If there's a book like that, I have not read that. I thought that was unique. Kind of a different way of looking at society and world building her fantasy world. Unfortunately...
Well, I have one more like. It's not a big one.
Yeah.
It's actually... Well, I liked where the author was going with the names. So
Yeah, that's
Sage and Ash, they mean something, and it usually means you're a bastard.
Well, yes, your first name is like your society status,
Mhm.
and then your last name was whatever
Was he
whatever
last name
trade
Carter
your
or
family is
something?
born into. Yeah,
Yeah. Even though that's kind of Game of Thrones like, I was like, okay, she's
It's a little
trying to do
different.
something there.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, she didn't do anything with it.
yeah,
That's the
Yeah,
only problem with
I will
that.
get to that in my dislikes. Yeah, unfortunately, that's where the likes end for us. The dislike list is much larger. I'll let you,
Sorry for all of you guys who are excited,
Yeah, sadly.
anticipating, because I was anticipating this book.
This was one of my like top anticipated. Yeah.
I was excited. I was like,
pissed.
woohoo, new fantasy. Here we go.
I liked that this was, set up to be some kind of, like, spy fantasy thriller
Mm-hmm.
with, like, a hint of romance. Not a hint of romance, but with romance. And it was incredibly dull for a spy
Yeah.
/ espionage novel.
And that is
Oh
my
God.
biggest dislike,
Woof.
was that this is a war strategy book. This is about spies. But the odd pace of this novel, it's like the author tells you the entire strategy,
Yes.
and then the next chapter, it's all done.
I wrote that in my notes. I said, Sage, she is essentially ends up spying for both sides, for her matchmaker boss and for the military Captain Quinn dude. So you have all of the information that she's gathering, plus Captain Quinn's side, plus the evil dude.
Yeah, his stuff too.
All of the stuff he's getting up to. You're seeing all of that. And it was like, I've never read a book like this where you got too much information.
Yeah.
That's how we classify what happened in this novel. The reader has way too much information, so there was no mystery, there was no guesswork, which is part of the fun of reading a mystery thriller novel.
I thought that she was going to go because I mean, sometimes authors, they think out of the box and like, I'm going to do something totally different. And I was like, okay, she's going to try something totally different than your standard espionage. But no. It's like when she did that, we missed out on the combat.
Yeah.
If there were any kinks in their plan, we missed out of the villain being foiled. Like it like the next chapter, it'd be like somebody walked to Quinn, he'd be like, "Job is done."
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was fast. We don't get to see anything that happened went wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing. It was just
the information delivery and the pacing was just crazy in this book, and it ended up making the entire book fall flat like a cake that had been taken out of the oven too early. Like,
actually,
bam.
I hate war strategy. I find it super boring.
Yeah.
And I was kind of excited that I didn't have to read it, but then I was like, no.
Right, as the book
we're
progresses.
Missing something. Unfortunately.
As the book progresses, you realize
we need it.
There's something missing here. Yeah. Also, all of that over-information share kind of ruined the author's big reveal that she lets out in like 75% of the novel. And I obviously won't say what that is because it's in the spoiler edition, but she attempts to pull this like weird, bizarre kiss of deception type move.
That's too much info.
It doesn't say who it is.
Still, though, let's just save that for the spoiler because I have to talk about that too.
It's insane. And I had to reread this chapter like 5 times, like, what the hell? And when I was looking back, none of that needed to even take place.
No.
None of it.
No.
It didn't make any sense. It didn't move the plot forward at all. In fact, it moved it back. Because now you're like, wait, who? Oh my god. And then, yeah, we'll save the rest of that for the spoiler edition, but that was my biggest pet peeve with this book.
And Elise was reading it at work, and we work like our desks are right next to each other. So at one point you were talking about something, and I was like, "Oh, she's about to get to it." And sure enough, 10 minutes later, she's like, "What?" I was over here laughing. So I was like, "Yep, you about to get to it." I wanted to see your reaction, and if maybe I missed something, maybe I didn't read well enough, and I missed some clues before.
The novel's title itself kind of ruins its own spoiler. So that's all I'm going to say. In the spoiler edition...
But you don't know who the traitor is, though. The traitor could be anybody.
She only loves a couple people in this novel.
I guess.
She dislikes
But she could have been the
everybody.
traitor.
That's another thing that I didn't like about this book. I'm going to jump to characterization. Do you have anything else to say about the pacing or plot? Okay.
No.
Characterization is another huge problem in this novel. When we meet Sage, she is packing her bags, about to run away from her family's house. And a second later, her little docile, sweet aunt that you don't really get a sense that she's very close to comes and persuades her to stay and be matched with the matchmaker because that's the right choice. And Sage frickin' does it. It's like, okay, 2 pages ago you were gung-ho determined to be your own woman and be free, but a couple nice words make you turn around and stay here. Are you frickin' kidding me? And it was like the rest of the book continued to prove that, like, she could live on her own if she wanted to. It's just, I already sensed some inconsistent characterization with her character that really bothered me.
Yeah. I had tried to justify that, but yeah, now that you're saying it again, it was very, it was uneven for her. And I think the point of that, and this is a rookie mistake by an author, is she's trying to I think she did that to show the what's it called? The whole process of going to the matchmaker and getting made up and what it all means. So she had to make Sage agree to do it so that the reader could go through this whole pageantry of all of it.
Definitely.
But it wasn't done well.
No, it's the author's job as the writer, as the guide through their own story, to have it make sense.
It was at the expense of Sage's character,
yes.
and she should have found another way.
And from that point, you know, at that point I had still really, like, a lot of excitement for this book, so I was, like, looking past that to see if, okay, maybe she's gonna equalize her character a little bit. It doesn't really happen.
No.
Sage continues to be this, like, hot-headed, hot-tempered character, which, I mean, we have a lot of those where it works really well. We've got Sarah J. Maas's main character, Selena / I guess I'll just say Selena, if anybody of you haven't read those books.
No!
Right.
You already did it?
Selena. No, I just said Selena.
Okay, yeah.
You know, we've got a lot of female heroines in YA who are very stubborn and hot-tempered, and it works because their character is fleshed out, and that it just kind of became annoying with Sage. Additionally, she like I said before, she kind of hates everybody in this novel around her except one person. 2 people. And all of the people that she dislikes is for really no reason. She just kind of has these random prejudices against all these characters, and you're just like, oh, okay, I guess he's an asshole. I guess she's a hoe. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of, like, female on female hate in this book, and that started to really bug me.
Yeah, and speaking of, I have the word girl on girl hatred. And this, I think, is another rookie mistake by the author, is that in the beginning, she sets up Jacqueline as this sympathetic character with her stump of a foot.
I forgot about that.
Then she makes you hate her.
Yes.
So it's like, why did you do that? Why did you make us sympathize with her? You should have been the other way around.
And honestly,
you make us hate her first, and then you tell us she has a stump of a foot.
Yes. And it's like, this is just bad storytelling, but you should not make your main character, who's a female, look better against all the other females because she hates them. There's something deeply wrong about that, about setting up your female protagonist against all of the women in your own book. Also, the author's a female. Like, I didn't understand that. There's only one girl in this novel who actually helps her, and even that relationship barely passes the Bechdel test. All they ever do when they're together is talk about that officer that the other girl likes, and how she's going to help her get the officer.
And how her sister is married to the awful villain's brother or some such.
She's a victim. Sage is somehow not, so she's got to help her out. It was just like, what kind of tropey crap is happening here?
And once again, I think she just fell for the trope of I have to make these girls hate each other because that way Sage will grow in the end because she was able to overcome the hatred of the other girls. It's like we need to find another way of showing growth, and not at the expense of other women,
right?
Yeah. Especially if it does nothing to the plot,
right? Like
absolutely nothing.
Your character isn't special just because you say she is, and you make her hate all the other women characters, and they all hate her. That doesn't make her special or different or unique.
And then
that makes you a bad storyteller.
And then, of course, all the men love her.
Yeah.
Why?
And they agree with her about her opinions about the other women. There's a scene in the novel where Captain Quinn, the leader of this band of escort soldiers that they're with, has to get the women that they're escorting to safety. And literally, he takes this girl, and she's like, you know, again, the author is turning this character into exactly what, you know, you would not expect or not want a woman to be. This, like, simpering, like, terrified girl, like, oh my god. And he, like, rips her dress apart because she can't fit through this tiny little hole, shoves her through in this really, like, almost abusive manner, and then throws the rest of her dress in after her. And as he's walking away, he hears the matchmaker tell this girl, if you make any noise, I'll cut your tongue out. And he's like, ha 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 ha, I have no doubt she'll follow through on her threat. Like, what in the world? And again, it's all just kind of thrown in there. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not anybody's personality coming through. That's just weird. It bothered me. I was like, okay, no. And I think at that point I had already decided that this book was kind of failing me.
Yep.
I have some strong opinions.
Let's talk about one more thing about Sage.
Okay.
is that she, and I was telling this to Elise before, is that she is technically a spy, quote unquote, for the matchmaker because she has to try to find the best matches. So she has to question people all the time to try and find the best matches.
Yes.
And so Quinn notices this, and he's like, she's asking way too many questions. Is she a spy herself? And so instead of him being like, she's a shitty spy, he enlists her to spy for him. You just figured out that she's a spy and it wasn't difficult for you. Why would you think she's a good spy?
I know.
And have her spy on the big villain?
Right.
No.
I know.
That would be the antithesis of a good spy.
I'm nodding my head vehemently over here because that just made no sense to me. It's comical.
And then she's in love with this guy named Ash, and Ash he's a soldier, and Quinn is the captain, and he sends Ash out to do missions, and she's angry at Quinn for being the captain of the army.
Yes.
It's like, that's his job.
Okay, repeatedly throughout this novel, she complains that Captain Quinn makes other people do his dirty work. Yeah, no shit. He's in charge of this group of people. If he dies, he's not helping anybody by dying. They will be a lost band of people. Yes, there's like an order of, who takes over if something like that happens, but that doesn't mean that's the point of being a general or being a captain. Like, you're kind of the one leading this band here. You're setting the standard. You're telling them what to do. That's your job. Are you an idiot?
But I know why the author did that, and I'll get to that in the spoiler edition.
Yeah, we have to save that for the spoiler edition because Captain Quinn is a spoilery character. Anyway, I was gonna say something else about that. Oh. I didn't feel like I got to know any of the characters.
No.
And that, again, is a spoiler that I will save for later, but, when she has this big reveal, we're kind of like, wait, who? Huh?
Yeah.
What happened?
But not in a good way.
And not in a good way. In fact, I felt that Sage's love interest, Ash, was basically her. I couldn't differentiate between the two of their voices because he's equally like, hot-headed and stubborn. Can we talk about their romance real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. That was probably the most cringeworthy part of the novel.
Which one? The one I told you about that was really stupid.
Wait, what?
When they were walking along
wait, yes. I bring that up. But, the whole romance in general was just
terrible.
It was extremely predictable and therefore not exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as Dawn was saying, there's this part in the novel where they have to pretend to be engaged in sexual activity to, I guess, avoid
somebody's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And as you're visualizing, you're thinking someone's coming around the corner. So Ashley's like, hide your face. He's
like, I'm so sorry for what I have to do. But then, a page transpires.
It's more than a page, man.
Nobody has come yet, but he's, digging in her pants and stuff. And I'm like...
digging in her pants. And he's, telling her sonnets in her ear. And she's all up his shirt. And I'm like, when is this person coming around the corner? It's been a really long time.
This whole scene just comes across as weird and extremely voyeuristic and not in exciting ways. I'm sure the author probably intended it to be. But you're like...
But, I mean, how many times have we seen that on a movie or a TV show?
Right.
And it's quick.
Right.
You have to hide them quickly, and you kiss them quickly, and you turn away.
That person is about to see you two.
Yes.
But it's not supposed to be like, oh my gosh, I think I hear somebody. Let's just do this.
You don't have time to grope each other.
Also,
it's like a quick kiss.
And after that scene, when they kind of decide that, okay, we actually like each other, they spend several nights together where, they wake up and members of Ash's superiors find him with her and hey man, you got a couple minutes to get ready and get back to camp. I'm pretty sure that would not be the reaction.
This is the part where you were reading, and when you said that, I was like, oh,
I'm like, something is not adding up for me here. I know we're in a fantasy world, but there are certain things about human behavior that I feel like are pretty standard. And if you're serving in a military, but yet you're, screwing the household staff, which they're trying to, play off that she is at this point, I don't really know if that suits anybody's purpose really well. And it was just what is happening? I don't get this. Also, again, because of the major spoiler. This is not just what's happening. Well, we gotta save that.
Yep.
We gotta save that for the spoilery bits.
Um, let me see if there's something else. Okay, so in the beginning of the novel, the author makes a note to mention that Quinn looks a lot like Robert, and that was not done well. She made it too obvious. So the entire time, I'm like, okay, at some point they're gonna do a switcheroo, or somebody's not who they say they are, or something's gonna happen because she's told us that they look alike.
She makes a lot of really obvious references to people's race or hair color or accent, and not in a very subtle way where it's like just kind of happens to be part of the storytelling. And I didn't even catch up on that. Like, I was expecting someone to not be who they said they were, but not in this kind of a way. So I just wasn't paying attention. But another thing that doesn't help you with all of that is that this book desperately needs a map.
Well, we had an arc, so...
and I said that in my review. I said it desperately needs a map, and I really, really, really hope for the reader's sake that the final edition does have some kind of map or, like, structure of, like, where who's what and where's where, and because that just, it's all the information that you need in order to kind of figure out what's happening in this spoilery moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I've got.
I got a couple more
for this. Okay.
I did not like the villain. What was his name?
Dambrian.
Damarian. Whatever.
Yeah.
He seemed to be evil just for shock value. It wasn't quite developed well. And then when, I guess this is a little too spoilery, but that whole chunk just seemed incredibly underdeveloped. Mm-hmm. It was just like, yeah, we're gonna work with you to do this, to avenge my father, and then it just kind of crumbled. It didn't really go anywhere.
The premise and conflict for the antagonists in this novel is not very well developed, and I said that in my review that I do not know how this author is going to manage to turn this story into a trilogy, because everything's resolved by the end of the novel. Possible spoiler, but it is. Literally everything.
Yeah.
Sage walks away with exactly what she wants. We'll save the rest for the spoilers, but I mean, like, seriously? And I literally wrote in my review, I wish the author luck. Don't know how you're going to sustain your story for 3 novels.
She's going to figure something out.
She better.
The only other thing I did not like is the uncle. I feel like the uncle had a really good backstory. Like, she or he... Because at first, so she doesn't want to be married. She wants to be an apprentice, and she's awaiting her uncle to come and tell her what her apprentice job is, but he's like, nope, you're going to get married. And he kind of comes across as this horrible person. But in the backstory, you learn that when she's orphaned, he runs to her rescue and helps her and treats her like it's his own daughter. And I thought that there was going to be something going on there. I thought there was a reason for that, but that never came.
Literally, once she leaves the house to go see the matchmaker, he's not in the story anymore.
He's not in the story.
And that was like, I agree with you. That was not... He's one of the best developed characters. Yeah. And we only see him for, 4 chapters?
If that.
That's where I thought he was going to be the villain, and this was going to be some kind of, like, family conflict. And I would have kind of appreciated that, I guess, a little bit more. Like, what happened to you to make you love her like family, and now you don't? Because clearly something happened where he's now disappointed with her and, like, kind of almost regrets his decision to take her in.
Was it like an alliance thing for him? Like, we don't know.
Her family had nothing to offer his family. So he did that out of the goodness of his heart. It was his brother. No, it was his sister, wasn't it?
I don't...
Because he's not a father.
Was his wife's sister? I think it was his brother.
No, because they weren't they didn't have the same last name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then I feel, okay, so wasn't her name something? Okay, so this is, again, what I thought was going to happen. Her name is Sage, and although the author says that, oh, my mother named me after such and such, so I'm not really a bastard, even though my name is indicated to be so, I thought maybe the author was going to go somewhere with that. That's why she made such a big deal out of their first names. Mm-hmm. Nope, nothing came of that.
Yeah.
And then another thing I hated about Sage was that she seemed to kind of be a Hermione, where she kind of knew everything. So Hermione, we just assume that she's read every book, and that's how she's able to know everything. And Sage is kind of the same way. But Is she? Like, she saves them so many times, but it's just because the author said that she could do it. There's no way of the author was just like, well, her dad was a falconer or whatever, so now she knows the migration of birds. Sure, I buy that. No.
Well, it started to get unbelievable after a certain point, because it was like every other chapter, she was coming to the soldiers like, oh, I already fixed this. I did this. Here's the information you guys need. And they're all like, oh my god, she is so amazing. Oh my, either y'all are idiots.
Or a really bad army, or...
I don't know.
Or she is the smartest woman alive.
But neither of them came across as clear the one way. So it's like, this book is just all over the place.
Yep.
Anything else?
What did you rate it?
I gave it 2 stars.
As did I.
If you want a good, like, spy fantasy thriller, read Kiss of Deception, read The Winter's Curse, read Wolf by Wolf. Those books are really good. They're very well developed. The story is great. Characters are fleshed out. I'm so sad to say that this book wasn't what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted this to be good. It has a fantastic cover. The cover's beautiful.
Oh, the cover's ugly.
I love the cover.
It's just a sword with some random flowers on it.
I like those minimalistic covers. But I think they're beautiful. The cover's beautiful, but yeah, this was one of my most highly anticipated novels. And like I said, I was extremely over the moon about this book until 40% in. And I even tweeted the author. I was like, love this book. And like, I'm so like sad to have this. I hate hating books. I hate it.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I've wasted my time.
Yeah, like I just like
especially
I don't
when it
enjoy
starts
this.
off well and then slowly you're like, oh, this is just. And I mean, as I'm reading it, I'm like, this is a 4.5, and it just slowly lost stars.
That's exactly how it was
all the way
with
to
me.
the end. So.
I have never gotten as many likes or comments on any Goodreads activity as when I gave this book 2 stars. And I keep getting something, like every day somebody's liked my status. I'm like, what in the world?
I guess because it's got a high rating and you're one of the few that has given it, or we are one of the few that's given it 2s.
I have no clue.
Alright, so that is the end of the spoiler-free version. Next week we will be reading and reviewing Violet Grenade by Victoria Scott. So if you don't want to hear the spoiler edition, you can turn your computers off now, and we will start the spoiler edition in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Well, so the big.
Okay, so the major spoiler with this novel is the author's big reveal 75% of through the novel. As I mentioned in the spoiler-free edition, this is like a Kiss of Deception type move, where one character is not who you think they are or who they say they are, and that character is Ash Carter, who apparently is supposed to be Captain Quinn all along. And Captain Quinn is masquerading as this lower-level sergeant. I still don't know why. Still have no idea why. I
guess it's just to keep them from being captured, or...
They say... the whole... I guess, I don't know, they're trying to keep this one guy in their army safe because he's the a biological child of the king and queen, and Ash Carter is supposed to be the bastard child of the king and queen, of the king.
Is there a real Ash? There is a real Ash character?
That's what we were so confused about, because I must have missed this character because he does not actually come into the novel until after the reveal. So you're like, is there even anybody named Ash Carter? Yeah, there is, as you find out in 5 chapters. It was so shoddy. So, like, I'm reading this, and I'm like, hang on a second, what? Like, I had to reread that chapter 5 times, then go back and try to find information that I may have missed. That's not really something that should happen. Like, again, when I read Kiss of Deception, it happened in 1 chapter, in 1 line. And it was like, it all clicked into place for me. And that was so beautifully done. And this was kind of like, ooh, we did not...
Yeah.
I don't know who's who now.
It went from being like a, oh my god, because I had a huge oh my god moment for Kiss of Deception. And this was just like confusion.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized as I was reading it that she hates Quinn, and this is what I was saying in the spoiler-free edition. So the author intentionally makes Sage hate Quinn for being the captain, just so that when the big reveal comes, we're like,
fight against that.
Oh, he really loves her. It's like, that is so manipulative to the reader, and it's not even good manipulation.
No.
But as I was reading the book, I'm like, how come she's never met Quinn? They've actually never seen or spoken.
Yeah.
Well, big freaking duh.
And I said this to Dawn before I even got to that big reveal moment in the book. I'm like, I'm getting a little bit confused. I said, Captain Quinn keeps making these weird comments like he's jealous of Ash Carter for all the attention this guy is receiving from what's-her-face. Are you going to introduce yourself to her? Like, have you even spoken to her? What are you going on here? Like, what are your feelings even based on? And so she does, like, drop random hints throughout the novel to give her some credit, but it kind of just seems weird.
After you just mentioned that. So, the other guy, Caesarion, what's his name?
Who?
Cresswell. Cresswell. I don't know their names. So, isn't he telling Cresswell? Cresswell calls... Whatever.
Kasich and Gramwell.
Oh, sorry. Kasich. He calls Quinn out and was like, are you in love with her?
I know.
But doesn't he know that he is not Ash? Or he is Ash?
Yeah, he knows.
So why does he ask him that? So what the fuck was that?
Because he knows he's playing.
So that's a big plot hole.
That's a huge plot hole, and I'm thinking to myself, and that's why again the reader is like, wait, does this rando like her? And then again, as someone of a rational mind, as I consider myself, I'm like, how do you have feelings for someone when you have never so much as spoken to them? You know nothing about their personality except what you're hearing from your underlings.
It's called insta-love, hello.
Oh, God. Again, that's why I don't read romance novels, because I would just automatically write them off. But I just, it didn't make sense. Yeah, there's something in that whole, like, storytelling wasn't quite what it
And I still felt like Kasich was at one point not Kasich, and Gramwell wasn't Gramwell. I'm still lost on that.
I thought Gramwell was someone else. Because, again, there's a lot of things that the author introduces that she never really fleshes out. And, I mean, I guess maybe she's saving some of that for the sequel. But, like, one of the soldiers is starting to fall in love with another one of the girls. And actually they do. Because
Gramwell and Claire.
Gramwell and Claire. Because at the end of the novel, they're going to get engaged. Mm-hmm. Like I said, every single character has a resolution. I don't know how she's going to continue the story.
I don't care. I'm not going to read it.
I'm not either.
So yeah, that big... What?
I kind of want to because I'm freaking curious how she's going to do this.
That big reveal was stupid.
It was a flop. It really had no...
And I'm sure that is a big part of the novel. Like, that is what she's banking on for everyone to be like, oh my god, I didn't see that coming. It's great.
Well, again, like, it just doesn't make sense. The whole time, like, you think that this political uprising is happening... And then when we get to see the villain, suddenly his partners from a different country, the whole, like, he really needs them. He can't do this political uprising without their support. They back out because he's not coming through on his promises. And now suddenly he turns his attention to the soldiers because they have the king's son with them. So now he's going to, like, try to use the king's son as ransom and, like, I mean, the whole book just got super convoluted after that, like, 75% point. Like, and it felt like a different book.
And then, this is one thing I didn't mention in the spoiler-free version, is that Sage learns how to fight in an hour, and then all of a sudden she kills her attacker because she's a savvy fighter now. And so then D'Abrian, whatever it is, he like pretends to capture her and then uses her to get Quinn. How long have you known this broad? You're going to risk your kingdom for some broad? No. No. They have not had that big of a love affair to him be like, I must save her. And he just like, gung-ho. No, I don't think so. I'm not buying that one.
I didn't either.
Charlie.
And he loses his brother in the process. Like,
Charlie.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Charlie yet.
I knew the second Charlie walked onto the book, his ass was going to die.
I figured this was going to be some kind of Gavroche type situation from Les Mis, but I don't know.
Still, it wasn't
it
like
was
a
so
big moment.
anticlimactic. He just slit the poor boy's throat to buy himself some time. It was like, again, none of that needed to happen. Because they got him and killed him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a waste.
It was a big waste.
Ugh.
Poor Charlie.
Poor Charlie. May he rest.
That's really all the spoilers I had.
Yeah.
The ending is just they're wrapped up in a bow,
Yep.
and
Sage gets her teaching job that she wants because, oh my god, lo and behold, the king learns everything she does and is suddenly enamored with our lovely protagonist and wants him to teach his children. A woman with no formal education. I'm just gonna pause.
Yeah.
Tell me what world that would happen. And she says that, I don't have any education. He's like, well, if what I've heard about you so far is true. Oh, come on.
I mean, shouldn't she be a soldier? Because she basically won the war for them with all of her sudden espionage.
Her brilliance. Well, he's like, I mean, it's going to be a trial period, of course, but my wife is pretty confident. Oh my god. Like, don't try to fix your plot holes on the last chapter of your book. Like, dude. The Captain Quinn, of course, ends up with what's-her-face. They fall in love, and they do love each other. And they're going to ride off into the sunset. Claire gets her Gramwell dude. All the ladies are going to be matched just like they want. I mean, God. Like, everything is wrapped up perfectly. The villain goes home. The other villain dies. There's no more political uprising. It was just him.
Mm-hmm.
And now that, like, the snake's head is cut off, all of the people who were on his side are going to go back and be quiet. It didn't work. Nobody was outed in this except Deamrian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how she's going to do a sequel with this. I'm baffled. But yeah.
Maybe it'll be new characters.
All right.
We do that sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully, Violet Grenade will be better. Good
Please.
God. We've had 2 good ones, and now we're on a kind of a down.
It's been a weird year for fantasy.
Slope. Yeah, it hasn't been good.
It's been a very strange year.
Well, thank you for joining us. As I said in the spoiler-free edition, our next book is Violet Grenade by Victoria Scott. And we will see you
in the next podcast.